This is topic B on page 28, Setting Project Plan Options. After creating a new project plan, it is important to capture the information about your project and save it so that you and others can easily understand what the project is about. In this topic, you will set options specific to your project and then you will save your new file. So first taking a look at the project information dialog box. And we get to this dialog box by going up to our ribbon. We're going to select our project tab. And in our properties command group, this is the third command group on this tab, our properties command group, we're going to select the project information command button. So I just need to single click on that command button. This opens the dialog box, project information, for, and then it will have the file name. I haven't saved this file to my computer yet, so it just takes on that template name of new business plan. All right, so this is the project information dialog box. When you create a project file, you are not prompted to supply any project information. A good place to get started is the project information dialog box. This dialog box captures high-level information about your project as a whole. By default, the project information dialog box uses the current date as the project start date. Project calculates the finish date after all of your task information is established and linked. So by default, it does use the current date, but remember, when I created this new business plan file from the template, I actually input on that screen that my start date was going to be August 1st. You can see August 1st is a Saturday. I did not know that, so maybe I'll want to change my start date. I can do that here. By selecting the drop down, maybe I want to change it to August the 3rd. You can see, I'll get back to this in a second. You can see start date is available to me, but finish date you can see is grayed out. I can't change the finish date. That's because I'm scheduling from the project start date. I'll go back through this, but if I was scheduling from the finish date, if I had a specific date that I needed to finish on, I can choose that, the finish date, but you can see the start date becomes grayed out now. It all depends on how long your project is going to take. So if I have to finish on maybe earlier, maybe I have to finish on, let's say, December 31st, before the end of the year. Using that finish date, when I get back to my main screen, it's going to calculate, depending on how long my project is, again, it's 124 days, well, what date would I have to start on then? And it's going to calculate that for me. So I'm not going to be able to change that. You can also change the current date if you need to, and we'll get into these additional options in just a minute. Okay, so for now, start date field, finish date field, schedule from. And I'm actually going to come back to these in a minute as well. All right, I'm going to switch back to start date, and I'm going to keep my start date as August 3rd and click OK. And at the bottom of page 21, we have the Project Properties dialog box. Oh, before I proceed, if you're wondering why the finish date didn't change here, it's because I originally had it starting on a weekend anyway, on a Saturday. So it actually didn't take into account the 1st and the 2nd to begin with. So that's why my finish date is staying the same. Remember, weekends are not counted by default. So it actually just skipped over those two dates. So my technical start date would have been the 3rd anyway. So that's why my finish date didn't change here, if you were wondering that. All right, bottom of page 21, the Project Properties dialog box. To get to this dialog box, I need to go into my Backstage view. Now remember from Chapter 1, Backstage view, I click on my File tab. This is my Backstage view. When you open your Backstage view, it's automatically going to take you to the Info tab. And this is where I want to be right now. To the right, I have some project information, and right next to the title of project info, I have a drop-down arrow, and from this drop-down, I would select Advanced Properties. So this opens the Properties dialog box. The title of it is going to be whatever the title of your file is right now. So you can see New Business Plan and then Properties. Taking a look at the second tab here is Summaries. In the Project Properties dialog box, you can enter general project information such as the project name, the project manager's name, the name of your organization, and specific keywords related to the project. This information will help you organize and locate your project files. So you can enter different information here. You have a field for title, subject, the author, which would be whoever was creating the file, the manager, company, category, keywords, comments. You can even enter a hyperlink for a website if you want. So just different information regarding your project. You can see on the top of page 22, they have some information entered for residential construction. This is what you'll be doing in your activity. You'll be entering all of this information. Woods family 3-bedroom home, residential construction, your name for the author, Teresa Sanchez manager, company Building with Heart. So you'll go through and enter all of these, and then when you have them typed in, you just click OK to save them. I'm going to click cancel since I didn't enter anything here, and I'm going to hit my back arrow to return to my project file. Now at the bottom of page 22 has different methods for scheduling projects. From my project tab, I'm going to open or reopen my project information dialog box. Told you I was coming back to this, and we talk more about the scheduling options. So the project's beginning date is shown in the Start Date field of the Project Information dialog box. The project's ending date is shown in the Finish Date field. You can change the start date or finish date by selecting the down arrow on the right side of each field. So just like I showed you earlier. But projects can be scheduled either from a start date or a finish date, but not both at the same time. The Schedule From drop-down list in your Project Information dialog box, so this third drop-down, shows whether your project is scheduled from the start date or the finish date. If the Schedule From drop-down is set to project start date, which we have here, then the start date drop-down list will be active, and the finish date drop-down will be inactive, which we saw. And just the opposite, if you have finish date selected, your start date is inactive, finish date is active. By default, Microsoft Project schedules all new projects from a start date. In this mode, all tasks are automatically scheduled to begin as soon as possible, giving the maximum amount of schedule flexibility. Now we have some guidelines for scheduling a project from the finish date on the bottom of page 23. If you choose to schedule a project from a finish date, all new tasks will be automatically scheduled to begin as late as possible. This constraint, as well as others that may be applied in this mode, limit schedule flexibility. It is advantageous to schedule a project from a finish date when your project has a firm deadline and you want to identify a date when the project must start in order to finish on time. When you are not sure when your project will begin, when your organization requires that this mode be used, or it is better for the project to start as late as possible. So those are all options for when you want to schedule from the finish date as opposed to the start. But by default, we are going to be scheduling from our start date. On the top of page 24, current date changes. You can see to the right here, we have a current date drop down. It is set to today's date. Remember, I'm doing this on Sunday, so it is shown June 7, 2020. If necessary, you can change the project's current date in the current date field of your project information dialog box. Normally, you will keep the current date the same as the actual date. However, sometimes you may want Project to act as if the current date is a different date from the actual date. For example, if you are planning for a future project, you may want to make the current date the same as the start date. So you may want to pretend that, if I was starting on August 3rd, maybe I want to pretend, well, today is August 3rd and it's getting started. I could set the current date as August 3rd as well. So there may be times when you want to change that just while you're working within your project. So that is an option for you. I'm going to keep that as today's date. And I'll click OK from here. Now, remember, I haven't saved this project file to my computer at all as of yet. I started it from a template. I did not choose a file name for this. I just have the generic new business plan template name. I haven't chosen a location on my computer to save it. So the bottom of page 24, we have the Save As screen. You can save a new Microsoft Project Professional file by selecting the File tab on your ribbon and then selecting the Save As tab from your Backstage view. And this will give you the options. The only ones we'll be working with is this PC. It will show you any recent folders that you've accessed in the right-hand side here. Or you can always hit your Browse button and then manually browse to wherever you want to save the file. Remember, go to your home, this PC, go to your home drive, Project Part 1, and then go into the chapter name where you want to save that file. Now, when you're doing the initial save, I'm just going to save my example project right here. And again, you would go into your chapter. This is just an example, though. So I'm going to name my file example in the file name field, and I'm going to click Save. Now, that was using a Save As. You can see now my title bar shows up here. No longer shows new business plan, the name of the template, that generic name. It shows the actual file name of what I did. Now, if I was to make any changes, let's say I change the start date again, and I change this to August 4th. Clicked OK. Since I made a change here, I need to save my updates. I don't want to do another Save As. Save As is when you're choosing a file name and when you're choosing a location to save your file. When I just need to update my changes, I can just go to File and do a regular save. Or I can just hit my Save button on my Quick Access toolbar. When I click on that, no dialog boxes are going to open, no fireworks are going to go off, but it did save those updates. So now, in my example file, it's going to show, if I was to reopen it later, that August 4th is the start date. Okay, so that's the difference between save and Save As. Save As gives it a file name, saves it to a location. Your Save button will just update the changes to the current file name, current location.
Your next video will be Activity 2-3 on page 31.